Hi, I'm Denise Pala, and this particular video is called Enter the Lizard, so much like Enter the Dragon. We're going to take some variations of lizard pose and a few other hip openers that are quite intense, and they're a great way to incorporate into your practice or into your teaching. Because they take a little bit of time. You can take them into more of a yin part of a practice. So a lot of muscular energy and organic energy. To begin with, let's ease into our hips in child's pose. So taking child's pose can always be taken two ways, but for the purpose of this hip opening sequence, take your knees nice and wide. Toes touch, sink down towards your heels. Hips begin to become a little more heavy, and we feel a big, deep stretch through the inner thighs. And now begin to expand, reach out through the fingers, and continue to energetically sink into the bowl you created with your feet. You can stay here and gaze out through the tip of your nose, or slightly tuck your chin to elongate through the back of the neck. Take about 3 breaths. So breathe into the upper back, breathe into your kidneys. Exhale out through the arms. Breathe into your collarbone. Exhale out through the shoulders. Breathe into your entire upper back. And as you exhale, melt the back of your heart, soften the front. From here, gaze forward and rise into table. And from your table position, begin with the knees hip distance apart. Tuck the toes under, spread all 10 fingers nice and wide. Beginning with your right foot, we begin in a lunge position. So step your right foot forward to your right pinky finger. And here, take a moment in this lunge just to open and release through the hips. So the right knee is directly over the right ankle. Slide your back leg behind you just a little more and take a moment here. You can have fists on the ground, you can have fingertips, you can have palms, but wherever you are, lift and lengthen through the spine. Gaze out through the tip of your nose and take about 3 breaths. 2 more. Energetically, continue to hug the right knee into the right shoulder. 1 more breath. We come right into that luscious lizard. Turn your right toes out. Come onto the outer edge of your right foot and begin to soften through the hips. From here, begin to come down onto your forearms. If this becomes challenging, place your forearms on a raised block. Now gaze forward. Press the palms together and draw the breastbone forward. Check in with the back leg. Make sure that it is straight behind you. And breathe. About 3 to 5 breaths. And here, notice the sensations that are coming up. A lot of the times when we come into hip openers, we hold a lot of tension and emotion in our hips. So you might notice that certain things come up for you. Can you completely surrender and let go of all that? Now stay here for another 2 breaths. We have a lot of softening through the right hip. 1 more breath. For a little added fire, tuck your back toes under and raise your back knee. So now the back leg is nice and firm and engaged. Can you invite this a little deeper? So continue to press into the outer edge of your right foot. Can you lift the right sit bone just a little higher? For 2. Continue to press out through the back heel. Draw the heart towards your thumbs. 1 more breath. Exhale the back knee to the ground. When you inhale, push up onto the palms of your hands and squeeze and hug the right knee into the right shoulder. For a little relief, gently shift the hips back. You can straighten the knee or you don't have to. Shift the hips forward. So another variation to your lizard is to add a little bit of a push-up, a hip push-up. Toe heel your right foot into the midline. So from the midline here, come onto the outer edge of your foot again. Your toes are lined up like little soldiers. Place your right palm and left palm on the ground with your fingers pointing towards each other. Tuck your back toes under and raise your back knee. Now stay here or join me in 5 push-ups. Here we go. 5, 4. Inhale as you come up. 3, 2, 1. Inhale as you come up. Pause. Exhale the back knee to the ground. Draw the right knee in. Now gently shift the hips back again. A little release. Shift the hips forward. Child's pose. Send the right knee back to meet the left. And now begin to feel the difference between the left and right hip. Sink into your child's pose. Soften through the shoulders. Allow your forehead to point towards your heart. 2 breaths as you find a little balance, as you feel the echo and vibration through the right hip. 1 more breath. Okay, now from here, gaze forward as we come into the other side. Begin to inhale and rise into table. From your table position, step your left foot forward to your left pinky finger. Place both palms on the ground to the inside of your front foot. And to begin with, like a little warm up here, slide your back leg behind you just a little more. So you'll notice how the hips begin to descend and get a little closer to the ground. Back leg is straight behind you. Again, you can come up onto fingertips. For me, that works. Lift up through the heart, gaze forward. Left knee is stacked directly over the left ankle. 3 breaths. 2. 1 more generous breath. So we come into the full lizard portion of this pose. Place your palms on the ground and now toe heel your left foot out just a little. So create some space through the left hip crease. Turn your left toes out so your big toe is pointing towards the front left corner of your mat. Come onto the outer edge of your left foot. All the toes are stacked and aligned. And again, some of us may need to stay here. Ideally, you work towards coming down onto forearms. And if you find this challenging, once again, you can place your forearms on a raised block. Wherever you are, can you draw your breastbone forward just a little more? And when you do so, notice the right thigh comes a little closer to the ground. And we begin to create a little more space through the left hip crease. In all these poses, we work towards a little more external rotation through the hip. You can stay right here for another 2 breaths. 1 more breath. Now to add a little more power, tuck your back toes under, raise your back knee. Back thigh is flexed, super firm, as if a little person can walk down your back leg. And as much as you press into the ball of your back foot, press into the outer edge of the left. Every part of your body that touches the ground is a place and a space for you to draw energy up from. So can you lift the left sit bone a little higher for 2? 1 more breath. Exhale the back knee to the earth. When you inhale to push up onto the palms of your hands. Hug and squeeze the left knee into the left shoulder. And here, a little release. Gently shift the hips back. Shift your hips forward. Toe heel your left foot into the midline. So bring it more into the midline. Fingertips come out alongside of you. And we come into that variation of lizard where we do a little bit of a push-up. Come onto the outer edge of your left foot. Come down onto your palms. And then again, fingertips are pointing towards each other. We create, again, this isometric energy between our forearms. Tuck your back toes under, raise your back knee. 5 push-ups. 5. Back leg is firm. 4. 3. Feel it through the left hip. 2. 1. Last. I think I did 1 too many. Release the right knee to the ground. Draw the left knee in. Gently shift the hips back 1 more time. So honor your hamstrings here. You might be able to straighten the knee. You might keep a soft bend to the knee. But find a little release. 1 breath. Now as you bend your front knee, take child's pose. Send the left knee back to meet the right. So maybe on this child's pose, you take it with knees together, sink down towards your heels and take a variation called bunny. Take the arms down alongside of you, palms face up to the ceiling. This time, tuck your chin, and when you do so, breathe more into your upper back and rounding rather than through the hips. 2 breaths. Just relax the spine. 1 more breath. All right. As you gaze forward, rise up into table. So from your table position here, we come into what's called Gomukhasana, cow face. So to come into Gomukhasana, cow face, begin with your right leg. Lift the right knee off the ground. Your right knee is still bent. Take your right knee behind you, crossing both knees on top of each other. Now take your legs a little wide, so the shins come out a little wide. And from here, can you sit back onto your sit bones? So it's quite an intense feeling. Ideally, this is supposed to look like cow's lips. Take your left hand and place it on your left knee. Take your right hand, place it on the right. Shimmy both knees on top of each other, and you'll feel an intense feeling through the left hip. So what to notice here is one sit bone a little higher than the other, and maybe the left one will be. Can you level that out? If this is completely challenging, take this pose sitting on a raised block. Take a look at your ankles. Your ankles should be in line with your hips. So to create a little more of your own resistance, maybe take the ankles out just a little more. So here to enhance this deep, intense hip opener, we add a twist. And anytime you twist towards the bent knee, you again enhance the hip. Take your right elbow and place it along the left thigh. Now twist, twist, twist to the left. Make a fist with your left hand and press it into your right palm. Twist from your center, draw your right shoulder towards your left shoulder, gaze up past your left elbow, and explore for the next 4 breaths a deep twist through your hips. Again, notice your sit bones. Can you level them out a little more? 3 more. 2. 1 more breath. Now gently release and return to center. We transition to the other side in Gomukhasana, and to do so, maybe we can do it in a little bit of a fun way. Walk your hands to the right. Walk your hands to the right. As you walk your hands to the right, come up into a wide-legged forward fold. Gaze at everyone behind you. And now continue to the right. As you continue to the right, pivot onto the balls of your feet, and boom, magically, you come into Gomukhasana on the other side. And each hip is a little tighter than the other. So here again, to align, ideally the alignment is knee on top of knee. Can you take your right hand, place it on your right knee, left hand on the left, shimmy the knees a little closer on top of each other. Again, one sit bone might be a little higher, and on this side, it'll be the right. How do you level that off? You can stay right here and breathe. Maybe the fingertips are behind you as you lift up through the heart. It's intense. Or invite a deeper twist. Place your left elbow to the outer line of the right knee. Ooh, as you twist, twist, twist towards the bent knee, make a fist with your right hand and press it into your left palm. Continue to twist. Draw your left chest to your right chest. Gaze up past your right elbow. 4 breaths. And again, in these breaths, notice the right hip. Are you tensing to hold it up, or can you actually surrender just a little? 3 more. 2. 1 more breath. Gently release, and as you release, you return to center. Extend both legs straight out in front of you. If you're not already there, scooch a little more forward towards the top of your mat and shake the legs out. 1 more variation here is double pigeon, and double pigeon is also called fire log. So begin by taking your double pigeon. Bend your knees. Place your right shin on the ground. And from here, you're going to take your left shin and cross it over. So ideally, always we have joint over joint. So right now, when you come into your double pigeon, your left ankle is directly on top of the right knee, so joint over joint. And your left knee is directly on top of the right ankle. If not, take the right foot out a little more so that both shins are aligned. Flex your feet. Some of us will notice, if we have tighter hips, that the left knee is popping up. So if you do notice that too much, you can always place a block. You can place a pillow, you can place a blanket. But wherever you are, it's a deep sensation through the hips. We're grounding through our hips here. To deepen a little more, can you lean forward? Now, as you lean forward, maybe reach the fingertips forward. Maybe deepen a bit more. Place your forearms on your top shin, and it becomes a gentle weight to guide you a little deeper into your twist. So wherever you are, take about 3 to 4 breaths. Two more. Keep the feet flexed. Feet are active, flaring the toes. One more breath. You can hold these poses for maybe even 10 breaths, but make sure that you are supported and not straining. So if you do need to place something under the knee that's flying high, then do so. Other side. As you inhale, come up and release. Extend both legs straight out in front of you and shake the legs out. Other side. So from here, begin with the left. So this time, bend your left knee. And as you bend the right, cross your right ankle over your left knee. So here we've got the opposite side, and again, you'll notice that one side might have a little more tension than the other, and that's okay. It's all about non-attachment. So don't get too attached to what side was so great or not so great. Again, you can place something underneath here if it becomes a little too strenuous. Ideally, too much strain creates distraction in your practice. And here we want a few moments to explore as we lean forward. And as you lean forward, if you're not feeling it enough, you can always place your forearms on your shin. It becomes that natural, gentle weight. And again, are you holding yourself up? Or can you let go? 3 breaths. As you explore. 2. Notice the sit bones. Hips and sit bones are level and even, so we always work towards a little balance. 1 more breath. Okay, when you inhale, inhale to rise, because every time you inhale, there's a lift, and as you exhale, soften. Release the legs and extend them straight out in front of you. Shake them out. Our final position in our hip openers is Pigeon, one of my favorites. So as you come into Pigeon, begin in a table position and come into downward facing dog. So from your table position, spread all 10 fingers nice and wide. Tuck your toes under and begin to straighten your knees as you send your hips high up towards the sky. The gaze is towards your feet. And here, just take a moment and pedal your heels. Bend your right knee as you press down through the left heel. And bend the left as you straighten the right. And switch. And switch. Okay, straighten both knees. And from here, we begin in full pigeon pose. So let's begin with the right leg. As you inhale, raise your right leg up to the sky. This is 3-legged dog. Bend your right knee, and keeping your right knee bent, gaze towards your hands. Sweep your right knee to your right pinky finger. Gently, the back knee comes down, and begin to slide your back leg behind you a little more. And as you do so, you begin to feel a sensation of external rotation through the right hip. There are 2 types of hips for Pigeon. One is very open hips, and an open hip is going to be able to get the shin parallel to the front of the mat. If you can get your shin parallel to the front of the mat, you will flex your foot to protect your knee. If this is challenging, and most people this is challenging, you're going to point your right toes towards your left thigh here. Now, wherever your right knee is, it should always be to the outer line of your right hip bone. So locate your right hip bone. Mine is right here. I'm going to point my fingers directly from my right hip bone. Take your right knee out a little more. And this again encourages a little more external rotation through the hip. You can place a block under your right sit bone if you want. You don't have to, it's yogi's choice. And from here, as you inhale, lift up through the heart. And as you exhale, melt it. So explore. You can stay here on forearms. You can rest your forehead on a block or on two fists. And work towards always having an aligned head, neck, and spine. There's a tiny little act of engagement here. So as you are here in your pigeon pose, whether your forehead is on the ground on two fists or you're on forearms, can you slightly scissor in the hips? So draw the right hip back, push the left hip forward. And to feel this a little more if you're not getting it, press into the top of your back foot. Lift the back knee. This creates this hugging into the midline, drawing the top of the left thigh bone up into the hip socket and grounding, externally drawing the outer line of the right hip back. 5 more breaths, generous and deep. So allow yourself to maybe sink a little deeper. 4. Work towards level hips. Notice, are you collapsing into one side more than the other? 3. 2. Final breath. So from here, gaze forward, and with as much love as you have for your body, push up onto the palms of your hands. Find your way into downward facing dog. Tuck your back toes under, raise your back knee, and send the right foot back to meet the left. Pedal out your heels, and feel the circulation run down through the right leg, down through the right heel. Coming into pigeon on the other side, begin with your left leg. Raise your left leg up to the sky, bend your left knee, and as you gaze forward, sweep your left knee to your left pinky finger. The back knee gently comes down, and then from here, begin to slide the back leg behind you a little more. And as you do so, you can even notice it on me, you begin a little more external rotation through the left hip. So sliding that back leg opens out through the hip a bit more. Again, either your left shin is parallel to the top of the mat, you flex your foot, or if you've got the tighter hip, point your left toes towards your right thigh. Wherever your left knee is, can you take it out a little more and look at how open you become in the hips. Stay right here or begin to come down onto forearms. And again, a nice, long, generous 10 breaths as you surrender into the sensation of your hips. So breathe. Maybe rest your forehead on 1 or 2 fists. Maybe come all the way down and rest your forehead on the ground. As you continue to breathe, soften the space between your shoulders. So if your forehead is on the ground, can you melt the heart a little closer to the ground? If you're on forearms, can you draw the breastbone forward? Soften the space between your eyes, your third eye, that place of intuition and inner sight. Turn your attention a little more to the inner layers and notice what comes up for you. What do you want to do when you feel these sensations through the hips? Find, because there is a place of a little more space within your hips. 4 more breaths. 3. And again, are you holding yourself up or can you melt a little deeper? 2. Your final breath. Find your way into downward facing dog. So as you gaze forward, press your palms into the ground, Tuck your right toes under, raise your back knee, send your left foot back to meet the right. And again, pedal out the heels. Find a beautiful space of release through your hips. So from here, one Chaturanga Dandasana. As you inhale, shift the weight forward, high plank, high push-up, shoulders are over wrists. Exhale, Chaturanga, bend the elbows, come halfway or come onto your knees and lower all the way. You'll notice that your heart will land ahead of your fingers. Inhaling into Cobra, so press your pelvis and 10 toes into the ground, and when you inhale, peel the ribs, soft back bend. Avoid locking the elbows. Come up as high as you can or stay as low as you need. And this time when you exhale, exhale into child's pose. Bend your knees and sink down towards your heels. Nice counter stretch. 3 breaths. And again, maybe if you want, come up onto fingertips and allow your head to hang a little lower than your heart. 2. 1 more breath. Place your palms on the ground, and as you inhale, rise. As you rise, roll either onto the left or right hip and gently sweep both legs straight out in front of you. We continue on our journey of our hips, but this time on our backs. So scooch forward towards the top of your mat if you're not already there. Flex your feet. Take the arms straight out in front of you, palms face each other. Take a deep inhale, and when you exhale, tuck the chin, draw the navel in, and slowly begin to lower the spine to the ground, 1 vertebrae at a time. So with as much control as you have, slowly, slowly, slowly. Flare your toes, shoulders, and head come down last, and once they do, reach your arms up overhead. As you reach the arms up overhead, point your toes away from your hands, a full body stretch like you're in a tug of war. 1 breath. And when you exhale, bend both knees and hug your knees into your chest. Rock gently side to side. And as you return to center, place your right foot on the ground. We take a variation of half happy baby for our hips. And for this one, place your right palm on top of your right thigh. As you draw the left knee in towards you, take half happy baby with the left foot, left leg. So reach up and catch the outer edge, outer line of your left foot. Flex your foot, pointing your ball and heel towards the ceiling. And here you use your own form of flexion, so your own resistance for your body. As much as you press the heel up into the sky, use your left hand to draw the left knee down towards the ground. By keeping the right hand on your right thigh, the right hip is level, and here continue to work the left knee down. So there should be almost a 90-degree bend between the left knee and through the left hip. Some of us might be able to get the left knee all the way to the ground. Deep, deep stretch. Continue to flex your foot. Shoulders are level. Take about 3 breaths here. Now, for those of you with very open hips, you will be able to straighten the right leg. But if you straighten the right leg, the right hip needs to stay level, and that's quite challenging. So for the purpose of this, keep the right knee bent and really work the left hip open a little more. 1 more breath. Inhale. Ooh, mine went all the way down. And as you exhale, place your left foot on the ground. Other side. So begin by connecting and placing your left palm on your left thigh. Draw the right knee in and take hold of the outer edge of your right foot with your right hand. So you're holding onto the knife edge of your foot. Flex your foot as if you're pressing your heel up into the sky. Use your right hand to draw your right knee down. And again, ideally, working towards touching the top of the right knee to the ground. So a good 5 to 6 breaths here. Shoulders are level, and we're constantly working with each inhale and each exhale. Four more breaths. 3, 2, Nice and deep into our hips, juicy hips. One more breath. As you exhale, release the right foot to the ground. Perfect counter pose, cobbler's pose, or Supta Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of your feet together to touch. Let the knees gently come out to either side. Place your hands on your hips here and take a few breaths. Notice how the hips begin to soften. Notice the gentle curve of the spine. Tuck your chin. And just notice, are you tensing and holding yourself up through the shoulders? Can you relax and release through the shoulders, chest, and heart? Take a couple breaths. One more breath. From here, draw the inseams of your legs towards each other. Knees come together. And we take, again, Gomukhasana, cow face pose. So, Supta Gomukhasana, cow face on your back. Cross your right knee over your left. As you draw both knees in towards each other, can you take your left hand and hold on to your right ankle? Can you take your right hand and hold on to your left ankle? And here again, we're creating our own resistance. As you push your ankles up towards the ceiling, use your hands to draw your ankles and feet away from each other. So there's a nice deep stretch. The hips are aligned and the lower spine is supported. The shoulders are aligned. So again, we get this drawing of the hips out in opposite directions. 2 more breaths. No posture is ever static. 1 more breath. Gently release and place your left foot on the ground. Uncross the legs, other side. Cross your left knee over the right. Draw both knees in towards you and take hold of your ankles. And again, as you push the heels up towards the ceiling, use your hands to draw your feet away from each other and press down on your ankles. So again, it's the sensation of drawing and creating your own resistance for 4, 3, 2, 1 more breath. And as you exhale, place your right foot on the ground. Uncross the legs. So one more variation here, and this is thread the needle. But thread the needle is also a great alternative if you found Pigeon extremely challenging. You can take, this is Pigeon on your back, it's the same thing. Cross your right ankle over your left knee and flex your foot. We're going to be floating after all this hips. Draw your left knee in towards you. Weave your right hand through the triangle you've created and interlace both hands behind your left thigh. Continue to hug your left knee in towards you and press your right elbow into the inner right thigh. So energetically, you're working the right knee away from your right shoulder. Ideally, once again, the shin is parallel to the ceiling. So breathe, shoulders are level, hugging in, pressing the knee away from the shoulder for 3, 2, 1 more breath. So another variation while you're here to transition into a hamstring stretch. Extend the left leg up to the sky, flex your foot. Take your hands, reach up and interlace your hands behind your left calf. And as you continue here, draw your shin towards your chest. 3 breaths. 2. 1 more breath. And as you exhale, gently release. When you release, place your left foot on the ground, uncross your legs. So finally on the other side, beginning with thread the needle, cross your left ankle over the right knee. Flex your foot. As you flex your foot, you work towards the shin parallel to the ceiling and you're protecting the knee. As you draw your right knee in towards you, weave your left hand through the triangle you've created and interlace both hands behind the right thigh. Notice the right leg. Sometimes we have a habit of holding it up. Just let it go so that you can effectively hug the right knee in towards you more. Again, maybe you can take the left elbow and press your left elbow into the inner left thigh, pressing the left knee away from your left shoulder. The whole A to Z of hips. 3 breaths. Continue to flex the foot, flare your toes. 2. One more breath. Maybe a hamstring stretch here. Extend the right leg up, flex your foot. Reach up with your hands and see if you can interlace your hands behind your right calf or ankle. Depends if you have long arms. And here, work your shin closer to your chest for 3. 2. One more breath. With the exhale, exhale and gently release, placing your right foot on the ground, uncross your legs. Wind shall wipe your knees side to side, so let them gently fall from side to side. As your knees return to center, hug your knees into your chest. You can rock, you can roll, you can touch your forehead to your knees. Place your feet on the ground. Reach the arms up overhead. And gently roll to your right side. So I'm rolling to my left so I can face you. Place your right palm on the ground and slowly push yourself up. As you push yourself up, come into, again, that seated position that you began your practice in. So sitting with the legs crossed, take a moment to end your practice the way you began. So the hips feel light, like you're sitting on a cloud. Your hips are clouds. Place your hands at heart center. Interlace the fingers. Inhale, the palms up. Thank your body for carrying you through your experience. Exhale as you arch to the right. Thank your mind for being open. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Thank your breath for guiding you. Inhale to center. Exhale to your heart. Thank you for being so open with your hips.